A few moments with you on the pew, pew, pew.
What's the word? I'm Ver,
And I'm Matthew.
and we're here today with Audrey. And Audrey, tell us a little about yourself.
I'm a sophomore nursing major on campus with a minor in medicine and society. If you don't know what that is, it's okay. I barely know what it is. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm the youngest of 7 kids.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
So I'm the baby, yeah. 3 brothers, 3 sisters. Girls outnumber the boys.
Not on the pew.
Not on the pew, yeah. Not on the pew. I have a calico cat, Tilly, that I adore, and I miss her.
It's a calico cat?
I mean, she's orange, black, and white.
Wow. That's not
It's like all of them.
Yeah. She's pretty cool.
All right. And how do we know Audrey?
I feel like we've met her through mutual friends, but also we led a retreat together recently.
And we went
on a retreat together in October.
Without knowing each other.
So
good times.
Good times.
Good times.
So we're going to start off with some hot seat questions.
Okay.
So get ready.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready.
Favorite type of pen?
Oh, I have, like, the Bic pens, but not, like, the clicky ones. Like, they're just the normal ones.
Like the cap?
Yeah, I like them better. They, like,
Really?
don't have the, like, bubbles.
Women priests, L or W?
I would say W.
Ooh.
I think it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Second favorite fruit?
Oh, dang. Blackberries.
Spotify or Apple Music?
Spotify. 100%.
Favorite saint?
Joan of Arc.
Who's winning March Madness?
Oh, I don't even know any of the
We'll just
teams.
pass that thing.
Dayton! Totally.
Go Apostle.
What?
Go Apostle. Best Apostle.
I don't know, man.
Maybe just not Judas.
I feel like
Yeah, anyone but
I feel
Judas,
like-
I guess.
Peter's a basic answer,
Yeah,
but like
that's a good
after
analogy.
watching The Chosen,
Mhm.
I feel like I like him a lot better than like just reading the Bible. Like it gave more depth to his personality.
Mm.
And then finally, do you have a favorite book of the Bible?
Esther.
Mm.
And why?
I like that it's about a woman, which is kind of basic since I am a woman. But I also just like it because it describes a lot about like how God works in our lives and how like best we can work with God to achieve what we're meant to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You're off the hot seat.
You are off.
Made it.
Welcome
Yeah.
to the normal pew.
Yeah.
So Audrey's here today to talk about. She spent some time thinking about what she wanted to talk about, and that's great. She took a little time to think, what do I want to talk about? And I think this topic will be great. She's going to be talking about like the difference between sympathy and empathy with her experience and her own take. So to start off, how do you understand like the difference between empathy and sympathy?
So like for me, even just my freshman year of college, I got a good idea of the difference because since I'm a nursing student, it's like very important that I understand empathy because I'll be dealing with patients. So in one of my classes, like a whole chapter that we talked about my freshman year was like about empathy and like understanding it and using it. And so like we watched this one video that has like stuck with me forever, and it kind of like describes like sympathy as like kind of like that baseline. You're just kind of like scratching the surface of like someone having something difficult in their lives and you're just like, oh, I'm sorry. But you're not going any deeper and you're not trying to like form a connection with that person and like really get on their level to understand what they're going through. Whereas like with empathy, you really are like, if someone is in like a dark place with empathy, you actually have to like find something within yourself, whether it's the same experience as the other person or whether it's different but has the same like meaning almost, and you have to like stoop to that level and like ensure that you're able to go that far down. Like it's probably not going to be a pleasant experience for you, but you have to be sure that like you can actually understand and connect with the person you're trying to be empathetic towards. And am I allowed to go on my phone?
Absolutely.
I looked at the video because it's still like one of my favorite videos ever, and it's like by a nursing theorist, which I think makes it cooler personally. But it said that like the four main aspects of like empathy that like make it different from sympathy is like perspective taking, like what I was talking about before, where you really have to try and understand the other person. And then the next big one was like lack of judgment, because it's so easy to be like, oh, someone's going through a hard time, but what if it's like partially their fault? Like, what if something in their lives caused this and they could have prevented it? But you really can't think that way if you want to be empathetic, because you just have to not judge the other person. And then the other two parts were recognizing the emotion of the other person and then communicating that emotion like with them and back to them, because like understanding that emotion is so difficult sometimes because people are all different, so they're going to show their emotions in a different way. So like talking with them through it is like really important. Yeah.
That's awesome. You said you watched this video just even last year. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
I actually, yeah. And then I actually used it too for like one of my classes last year when we like read a chapter about it and like sent it to my professor and was like, because she gave like bonus points if you like were like more included in the lesson or whatever. So then I was like, we should watch this. Yeah. It's like my favorite. And it's like 3 minutes long.
Oh, wow.
And it teaches you
Wow.
so much, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
So to kind of go off of that, I'm just wondering, like, how can empathy like be used in our daily lives? Like, what are appropriate times to like drop into that like empathetic state, like with someone? Like, do you have any advice on that?
I would say it's definitely really, really difficult to be empathetic in your daily life, just because we're all put under so much like strain of our own like emotional like difficulties and just daily difficulties. And I know for me, for sure, like as a pretty busy person, like even my roommates will like come back from like a rough day and they're like telling me about it, and I'm just like, oh yeah, like I'm sorry. Like I'm not necessarily like there with them, like trying to really dig down deep and like understand what they're going through. So I think just like in those moments really trying to take a step back and like recognize that this is like an important thing that the other person is sharing with you, and that even if it's just you saying, hey, I don't even know what to say right now, but I'm like here if you need anything, because like that's a really big step I think in empathy, instead of just saying like, oh, I'm sorry, and then like moving on, but like making sure that the person knows that you're there for them even if like they don't need you immediately in that moment. But yeah, and I feel like empathy is like especially hard with like strangers in daily life, because you most certainly don't know what they're going through if you've never like talked to them before that point. But yeah, I feel like again just being even just like a listening ear for them to like talk through their challenges with can be really helpful.
Yeah.
So, and then, like, kind of trying to look in the lens of faith with like everything that you've said so far. How do you think faith impacts empathy, and also like vice versa? How does empathy impact faith, or at least for you?
Um, I think my faith definitely helps me to be more empathetic, because I kind of recognize that like since we're all made in like God's image and likeness, like we all have like the capacity to feel with one another and to like feel for one another, because we're all really just like all people in under God. And I think also like knowing God's love and how it has helped like in my life can help me like share that love with like other people around me, because like I feel secure in like my love for God and his love for me. So just being able to like share that love like through empathy. Yeah. And then what opposite? How does empathy impact faith? I think empathy can really strengthen your faith, especially if one of your friends or someone you know, or even like yourself, is going through like a really hard period in their faith life. Like if they're in like a state of like desolation where they really just don't feel close to God or their faith, or they're just really struggling in their life in general. I think that like being empathetic and being able to like share your emotions and be there with another person just like makes you feel so much more connected to them. And I think it can help you feel like you really do have like a purpose, at least in my experience, that's been helpful. And so that purpose can kind of like, for me, it kind of just, what's the word? Supported like the idea that I did have like a purpose and my faith was part of that purpose.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I really like how you talked about, like, I think like you kind of highlighted the moment like in empathy where like you, like, can almost like see, like in those vulnerable moments, like see the creation of God like in other people, and kind of like how that like creates a space like for like being able to like see each other, and like really like hear the other person like well. So
Yeah, and I was gonna say, when you were talking about like when your roommates come home and like they've had a rough day and you're there to listen, I think it's unique too that like they might not be able to perceive like you say in that instance that you were demonstrating like sympathy rather than empathy, but they might not be able to perceive the difference, but like you can tell yourself. I think that's a very like humble thing to like be able to recognize that I'm not giving all that I can, even if it may not be felt by other people, if that makes sense. So I think that's a really good step to like start thinking yourself like, am I demonstrating sympathy or empathy? So I think that's a really good perspective to look in.
Awesome.
yeah, do you have any final thoughts or anything else you wanted to touch on?
I don't know. I just think it's important to like understand the difference because I know for sure like before I like learned so much about it freshman year that it didn't cross my mind that there was a major difference. And I think it's also important to see that like, yeah, I'm a nursing student, so I know that I'm going to need empathy like a lot in my future. But so will everyone. Like just I think recognizing that you can be empathetic in your own way, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like, for me it's going to be through patient interaction and like family interaction mostly, but like other people can do it in different ways.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
This was fun.
All right. Pew 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 pew.